You mentioned Hunter Dickinson. So you have a list of the top 10 players left in the portal. Hunter Dickinson is probably the number one guy on that list for just about everybody. I would make the argument he is the most accomplished transfer that we have ever seen in college basketball. He's a guy that has been an All-American for 2 years, is a 3-year star at Michigan, has made deep tournament runs, has won stuff in the Big Ten, and now he is in the portal. It's kind of his recruitment in the portal is something where it seems very up in the air. Like if you, there's a lot of links to Georgetown. There's a lot of links to Maryland that has a lot to do with his DMV roots.
Yeah.
I would love to see him at Kansas. I don't know if that's something that is even in the cards for him. So what do you, I guess let's start with this. Yeah.
It's been super quiet, Rob.
Okay,
I mean, there's not a lot of info, and I give him credit because, again, I've been outspoken about the podcast he did, and it's just caused a lot of undue criticism on Hunter, in which he should have been protected, but he wasn't, and I think that hurt him. I think that hurt him a little bit. So I think he's gone kind of rogue here a little bit and gone quiet. He had a Zoom, as I reported, with Kentucky, but I just don't see that happening. I could see a Georgetown situation happening. They've already brought in a couple of good guards. We'll talk about in a bit with Jaden Epps from Illinois, Rowan Brumbaugh from Texas, the Styles kid from Carolina, who is highly touted. He's not a guard, but brought him in as well. He's looking for one more guard to bring in as well. Cooley is. So I think Hunter going home makes a lot of sense. I also think it's going to make a lot of sense how much NIL Hunter gets.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, this is the most marketable and probably the most valuable that he's ever going to be. When you are a senior in college and able to go out and maximize it, I think that there's probably someone that he'll probably get 7 figures out of this. You think that's right?
He might have got 7 figures last year. I don't know.
Yeah. Yep.
I mean, yeah, I think, again, when he's hearing the numbers about what some of these guys are making and Oscar making 2-3 million, I'm sure he's saying to himself, well, like, if Oscar's worth that, I'm doing similar things. I didn't have as much around me the last couple of years as Oscar had. But I'm doing similar things, putting up similar numbers. Why shouldn't I be paid, in that realm?
So how is he a game-changing piece for a program, or is he just a guy that's kind of a hired gun? Because I go back and forth on it, right? Like he hasn't had a ton of success when it comes to like winning in the regular season, when it comes to how good Michigan has been. Like obviously they made the NIT last year, right? Like that wasn't a great situation. They had Hunter Dickinson, they had 2 pros, Kobe Buffkin and Jet Howard are both going to be first-round picks, and they made the NIT. The year before that, they were an 11 seed. Now they made it to the Sweet 16, but they were still 19-15 with Hunter Dickinson, 2 NBA players, and Moussa Diabate and Caleb Houston, right? So what kind of player would a team be getting if they get Hunter Dickinson?
I mean, listen, you got to surround him with the right pieces. You got to get him a point guard. Number one, they didn't really have a point guard through most of last year. Like Doug McDaniel was good towards the end of the year, but it took a while. They had Jalen Llewellyn the first part of the year, then he got hurt. So I think that's number one. You better get a good point guard. And Hunter's different. He's not a rim protector, right? He's not. You can't switch with him out on perimeter guys. He can't guard those guys. What he can do, and he's shown it on the offensive end, he could step out and make a 3. So I think on the offensive end, he's shown that he's a little bit more versatile than people thought. But defensively, that's the key for me. Offensively, you better have a point guard. And defensively, you better have some other switchable pieces with him that can help him defensively. And maybe a long athletic 4-man who, I know there aren't many of these guys out there, a long athletic 4-man who can step out and shoot it a little bit and also has the ability to be a little bit of a rim protector.
Yeah, I agree. I think if you look at what they had around him as a freshman, right? Franz Wagner, Isaiah Livers, Shawn D. Brown, Eli Brooks, Mike Smith. Yeah, they had a couple playmakers, and they also had 3 wings that you can kind of switch 2 through 4. So I think teams like that make a lot of sense. I would look if you put him on Kansas and let Bill Self scheme
Oh,
ways to
oh,
get him seals and get him post touches, and then also use some of the stuff that you use this year where you're able to get, instead of having short rolls like they did with KJ Adams, you get Hunter popping to the 3-point line with
Yeah.
some of those same actions. Like he's going to average 22 and 12 if he goes to Kansas. So Hunter, I know you're listening to this. Adidas got money too. You don't need just checks from the check mark. Okay. You don't need just Nike schools. You will kill it at Kansas.